Hey everyone, this is Reason Silver. It's April 9th, 2013. I just wanted to do a quick video about Bitcoin and silver. As Bitcoin is cracking into new and uncharted territory against the US dollar, the rhetoric for it and against it is being ratcheted up on both sides. So I find it very interesting, fascinating really, to watch all these different opinions get flipped and sides being chosen. So I figured I'd give my opinion on what's happening. Of course, there's folks in the community like Max Kaiser who've been very strongly advocating to purchase silver for a long time, saying that by buying silver you can even help crash JP Morgan. And there's folks on the other side like Chris Dwayne who are saying that physical is the way to go and virtual is basically a big trap. So I'll tell you where I fall in the spectrum, which is, as you would guess, somewhere in the middle. As a stacker, I definitely appreciate the physical properties of precious metals, and I will never not stack. I'll buy when it's low, I'll buy it when it's high. I basically keep buying, which is something I recommend you do as well. But to say that something like Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies in general is a Ponzi scheme or a bubble without really investigating their merits is also irresponsible. So I'm following Chris's own advice, which is to listen to all and follow none and make your own way, which is exactly what I'm doing. My background is in information technology and in programming. And I can tell you, as a programmer, Bitcoin is a very good idea. I'm not saying this as a stacker or a gold bug or a silver bug or a prepper or whatever else you want to call the folks in our community. I'm saying this as a guy who's been working with information technology for a while, and he's making his daily bread on the computer all day, every day, and the weekends and nights, pretty much all the time. So I can tell you as a programmer that Bitcoin is a very elegant solution. I love this solution. I'm not going to get into all the implementation details and the issues that it could have and the forks and the hacking and the double spend and issues with exchanges being down and electronic wallets. All of that can be tabled for now. Look at it philosophically. Today we have our cash mostly in the electronic form with your bank and another company, Visa or MasterCard, involved in everything you do. Every time you swipe, these 2 or 3 companies are going to be involved. Now Bitcoin is also virtual. So to me, you can take the virtual argument off the table completely. Both are virtual. It's not like we're talking about spending fiat or gold or silver versus this other virtual Bitcoin thing, which I could see the argument. But we're just comparing your debit card today to Bitcoin, and both are virtual. So Bitcoin is elegant in that it eliminates your bank and Visa and MasterCard taking a bite out of every transaction. There's no need for it. Because both are electronic, why would you need another person in there skimming off the top? There's not a person in the world who could convince me that philosophically that's a bad idea. It's a great idea. And the solution is very elegant. Why don't we just encrypt point A and point B and attach this attribute, this amount, to both of them, and then when point A contacts point B, we'll just subtract from one and add to the other. No clearinghouses, no companies taking a bite out of every transaction. The companies themselves don't need to make these giant investments in infrastructure and maintain these IT farms just to crunch your numbers at night so the transaction posts the next day. Think about that for a second. Every time you swipe your debit card, you can see in online banking as a processing transaction. But it's not going to post because the bank has to run their process probably at night, and then it's going to post the next day. In 2013, we still do that. We still run these batch systems that we've run for decades. Bitcoin shows us that, at least in philosophy, that is no longer required. So that's the elegance of the system that I'm talking about. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm a huge proponent of this system. That doesn't mean I'm investing in this system. I'm just stating the fact as a programmer. In 2013, this is probably the best solution we have to get the banks out of the picture and go straight from the source to the destination. That's all I'm saying. Now, the way it's implemented is another story. There's algorithm involved. It's all open source, so anybody with the knowledge can go look at it. But from my research, I've realized that there are some issues. I won't go into detail here, but it's not quite real time yet. If you go transaction per transaction, the bank's going to be faster in terms of real-time transactions. Like if you swipe at a grocery store, you swipe at an ATM. But this is just the first iteration. Just like Napster was the first iteration of peer-to-peer, and it has disrupted the entire industry, who has realized that they have to compete with the pirates, create a better mousetrap, and create a better product. We have Hulu and Netflix streaming that for $4 you can watch anything you want. We have Valve's online Steam store that's been selling better, more integrated games to the gamers. So this is just the first iteration of cryptocurrency, and who knows, maybe banks will co-opt this idea and use some version of the system to take a chunk of the currency markets and distribute all this processing that's happening out there into the network, give a small fee to the miners who will validate these transactions, and goodbye Bitcoin, hello new virtual US dollar. Who knows? I'm just saying that be very careful when you're listening to people who are trashing Bitcoin because it's virtual, or because it's a Ponzi scheme, or because it's a bubble, or whatever it is. On its face and philosophically, I can tell you that it's a good idea. There's no reason why we should have anybody in the middle of our transactions taking a bite, and that's what Bitcoin is trying to accomplish. So a lot of very heated debates happening on each side, which is great, because at the end of the day, that's how we get our grains of truth, and then the big truth out there in the open for everybody to look at and examine and prod and question, and then question some more. This is exactly what we need. So I will very strongly and very passionately encourage everyone, when you hear that cryptocurrency is a scam or a pyramid scheme or a bubble or a Ponzi scheme, to really dig deep and try to figure out why you think this way, and make sure there's some rational explanation for why you formed that opinion. If it's just because you followed some YouTuber and they can put together an eloquent case, that's fine, but make sure it's not the only thing that's supporting this opinion that you have. And in conclusion, just a parting thought, I just want to tell you that I find it wildly ironic that all this yelling that's been happening at the banks, being the root of all evil, being too big to fail, being the parasites that skim off the top, being the reasons why we have horrible politicians that are constantly gridlocked and can't get anything done. They're always the highest contributors to all the political campaigns and get the laws passed that they want to pass, and how private companies act like branches of the U.S. government, and how there's all these commodity desks out there that manipulate and control the price of precious metals. And then along comes the system that's also electronic, that's bankless, no banks involved, no middlemen, that uses almost no transaction fees, that goes straight from the source to the destination, that democratizes the way money is spent, that allows you to send money all over the world across borders, over Skype if you wanted to, whose inner workings and the source code is completely open for anybody to see, yet The transactions are encrypted and confirmed many times. That has no centralized authority. That has a cap. So all these great properties, and then we turn on it. This has been Reason Silver. Thank you all for listening. Talk to you all soon.